Working in the Margins. Dealing with our challenges, assessing needs, and finding solutions. Short-term, mid-range, and long-term. Solutions can find us working in the margins. Today's world is a tough baseline. It's more difficult than ever to just exist or get by. And it's not getting any easier. Moving forward in today's world has become both an art and a science. Food, clothing, temporary shelter, long-term housing, short-term jobs, temporary employment, or long-range careers. It all takes some help and finesse. Not everyone can do it. It's an art and a science. And let's face it, not everyone is a scientist. Some people need more help than others. The basics like reliable transportation, internet, laundry, a regular shower, even water, those basics we all take for granted. Electricity, these are the challenges of those caught in the net. Are homeless, unhoused, housing challenged, living in the margins. People of all ages, young, middle-aged, senior citizens, entire families, male, female, all reasons and all walks of life. Anyone can find themselves living in the margins. Homelessness and the challenges that go with it are not going away, and we can't ignore them. It's just too expensive. We've got to do better. Take the next step forward. Tune in now and listen to Working in the Margins with Zazetta Scott.
Good evening, Inland Empire. Welcome to Working in the Margins. I'm your host, Shazat, and I will be creating safe space tonight for dialogue with SBC County community leaders and about how to better serve our unhoused and our marginalized SBC citizens. I'll be giving weekly updates about community services and resources. And last week, I kind of ran short on time because we were talking about domestic violence, and I wanted to make sure that I got all the phone numbers out to our domestic violence shelters for those folks out there that might need that information. So I didn't have a quote. So this week I promised 2 quotes. So here's the first quote. "The power of youth is the common wealth for the entire world. The faces of young people are the faces of our past, our present, and our future. No segment in the society can match with the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of the young people." And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about young folks. We're going to talk about young folks that need some more services in our communities because they are runaway youth or disadvantaged youth. My first guest tonight is Nike Hansen. He is a runaway youth shelter manager for Family Assistance Program. A little bit about Nike is he's 29 years young, resident of Victorville. He was born in San Bernardino and has dedicated the last 4 years to working with Family Assistance Program. He started his journey as a youth advocate and since has advanced to the role of a manager. Hi, Nike, are you there?
Hello, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. Let's get into it. So yes. I'm going to ask you some questions. How you doing? How you doing in this heat, man? It's hot, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. I'm honored and grateful to be on here and just bring word
awesome.
about these youth and the safe haven that we have from. So thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you. We need more young people, and I know that you'll be an inspiration to young people to get involved in this very important work. It's hard work dealing with, some folks some populations of our marginalized communities, and to take up the mantle of working with runaway youth. That's a special endeavor. So tell me, Nike, what inspired you to become a runaway youth shelter manager?
So it was never really my goal to be a shelter manager at a homeless youth shelter. I just knew my true passion always lied with helping youth in need. For myself, I had a tough upbringing where I was homeless and displaced after being kicked out of my house as a teen. In the high desert, there wasn't any shelter or safe haven to really go. All we had was the High Desert Homeless Shelter, which was located off of I believe Armagosa
Armagosa,
in
right.
Palmdale Road.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all. And then the state was very limited. So for me, to have the opportunity to help, youth in need that are at a very critical time in their life and are just trying to navigate it and figure it out,
Right.
it was a blessing for me to have the opportunity.
Right. That's awesome. So, you are another family assistance employee that has lived experience, which is awesome. That's one of the reasons I came to this agency, is because we bring on folks that have lived experience to work with the populations that we serve, and it's really important, that we are able to sometimes walk the walk that our clients are going through. Tell me some of the services that the shelter provides for the runaway youth.
Yeah, so we provide several different services. The main service we provide is case management, which is just basically finding them a safe placement and making sure that their voice is heard so we can advocate for them. Our main goal is reunification with family, but if we can't get that settled, maybe there's a different family member they can go with, or if it's just not a safe environment at home, we try to get them into the system so they can have a safe place. Or if they're about to turn 18, we also help them transition into adulthood. So some of the skills that we do is like life skills. We teach them about like rent, property searching, taxes, pumping your gas, laundry, cooking, cleaning,
Wow.
using simple things like Excel on the computer. We
Wow.
help get them in school and provide educational tutoring. We do employment assistance, so we help them make resumes, provide them food handler cards, give them references for the work that they do at our shelter. We even buy them interview clothes and then other
Wow.
things just like anger
That's a
management,
lot.
outings,
Okay, man.
activities, and taking them different places.
So you're building whole lives. I mean, that's amazing. And these are things that they're probably they're not going through in their struggle to be housed, or during their experience of being a runaway. They're not learning these things. So it's amazing that we can offer these types of services. Tell me, I know you have some difficult situations sometimes, in the
Yes.
shelter with the kids. Tell me, how do you handle some of your difficult situations?
So basically, with our difficult situations, it comes from a place of care and understanding.
Mm,
We have a lot of staff that have that lived experience that we spoke about earlier.
right.
But just understanding that they're going through like the toughest times of their life
Of
and they
their
don't really
life.
have a good support system and haven't really developed good mechanisms to cope. So we just don't take anything personal, advocate for their needs, and then we just understand that they're upset with life and that
Right.
anger is just being channeled at us temporarily. So just a lot
Right.
of redirection and encouragement and speaking positivity in them and then showing them that there's a way to achieve their goals.
Right. That's boy, some of us sometimes we could all use that even as adults, uh,
Yes, ma'am.
in our lives. Tell me, how do you ensure the safety and the well-being of the youth at the shelter?
Yeah, so safety's a big thing at our shelter. We're a licensed facility that has regulations and protocols that we have to follow. So
Right.
it's a very safe environment. And then when the youth are there, it's a safe haven for them.
Right.
If they're not trying to, if they're not trying to, be found by an abuser or different things, we provide that safe atmosphere
Right.
for them and figure out that case management to get them to where they are safe. They don't have to look over
Right.
their shoulder or
Right.
worry. So,
Yes. Yeah. I would assume that that can happen sometimes. That they're running away and they got people looking for them, but it may be the abusers that are looking for them. Because it's abuse is about control. So
yes, ma'am.
you know, um, what kind of qualifications do you have to work at the shelter? If there's people interested in getting into this kind of work.
So the main thing would just be we like to have staff that have experience working with kids, and then also, like we've talked about a few times, that lived experience is huge for us. It's not necessarily about having a degree or how much schooling you did. Sometimes it's about understanding how life life can get and how hard it can be. But from an HR standpoint, we look for someone at the age of 21 with a high school equivalent that can pass a background check to work with kids.
Okay.
And then we ask for an open schedule because our shelter is 24/7. We never close, not on holidays. So we just need someone that's flexible
Okay.
and that is willing to work with the team.
Okay. And have a heart for helping. Huh?
Yep.
Okay.
And know
that's
that this isn't
awesome.
a job. This is a unique experience
exactly.
to touch lives and
Right.
be someone
it's
we
a
all needed
mission.
at that age.
Right. It's a mission. It's we are called to this work. I know that I've always felt that part of my mission on this earth this time around is to help as many people as I can, and I keep finding myself in jobs and positions and working around people or with people that keep promoting that and keep pushing me towards that, so I can stay on track, and so I really appreciate other
Yeah,
people.
we definitely owe the next generation,
We
and not
do.
even just the next generation, but
This one.
if we have any gifts, we should be able to use
Absolutely. Right.
use those gifts.
These
to
are our
help others
future
uplift
leaders.
them.
These are the people that are going to be running the country eventually. In our cities and our towns. They're going to be our leaders because we're not going to live forever. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
even
walking
want to.
around with our kids and
Exactly. Tell me, what's the biggest challenge you face in managing a runaway youth shelter?
So the biggest challenge is just our program's so short term because it's usually like anywhere from like 3 weeks to a month. It's hard to get some kids to open up and feel comfortable in that amount of time.
Right.
And then also getting the parents who usually are the abusers to make some changes that are going to set the youth up to succeed.
Right.
So
Do
that
you
would probably
work
be
with the
biggest
families
thing, but-
too when you're trying to reunify? Is there work to be done between, like the case managers and the clients and the family that they're going back to?
Yeah, there's definitely work to be done. One of the main things we really like to do is we like to do things like have mediation between the families where each can give each other the chance to actually speak
Right.
and say where they're coming from. And then we like to
Right.
do things like see if maybe they can go home for like a night or a weekend before we actually
Okay.
exit them from our program, just so they
Right.
can make that safe transition.
How long do you follow them after they're been reunited or their aftercare? How long do you follow them?
Yeah, so we do multiple checks. We check up on them a week after they leave, a month after they leave, 60 days, 90 days. So we
Okay.
check in multiple times, make sure that they have all the necessities that they need and a safe place to lay their head. And if not, we give them resources or we allow them to come back to our shelter
Okay.
because they can.
Okay, that's wonderful. Tell me, Nike, what other organizations do you work with outside of in the community to help with this process?
So we work with a lot of organizations, children and family services, because 2 of our shelters are strictly CFS shelters. So we do house youth from the foster system.
Mm-hmm.
We work with the community crisis response team. When a youth is feeling like they want to harm themselves, they come out and do an assessment and
Okay.
speak with them. We partner with PSR, which
Okay.
is free therapy for all of our youth, and even their families can join.
Oh, that's
And we offer it to
wonderful.
our staff as well. And then we have partnerships with like the school districts, Options for Youth, Mojave River Academy, so we can get them into school. And then a few other ones would just be ones inside of our agency. So if the youth are going to be 18, we have a TAY program for transitional living.
Okay.
If any of our youth are human trafficking victims, we have a program called The Open Door that will speak with them and provide them resources, and then FamSpot and Open Arms for hygiene supplies and clothing
Right.
if the youth need them.
That's awesome. Well, I really enjoying gathering this information from you, and I hope folks are listening so we can keep sharing. I'm going to go to commercial break right now, and we'll be right back with Working at the Margins.
106.5 FM and KCAA 1050 AM.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
KCAA.
Welcome back, Inland Empire. This is Shazad. You're listening to Working in the Margins, and I'm having a good conversation full of resources and information about homeless runaway youth with Nike Hansen from Family Assistance Program. He is a homeless runaway youth shelter manager, and he's been sharing some awesome information about how they help and the services and that they provide. Nike, tell me, how do you have a good success story that you can share that, you know, we don't use names, but can you tell me of a good success story?
Yeah. So actually, my favorite success story to talk about is our very first client at my place back in 2019 when I started, which actually was an experience for me that made me realize that this was really the work for me and this is the job that I really needed to do. We had a 17-year-old that was engaging in human trafficking behaviors. They were mean and nasty to us every day, threatening us, throwing things at us, cussing us out, saying different things like, I'm going to punch you and make your shift a living hell. As someone who was a mean youth because of the things that I was going through, I understood that, you know, they weren't really mad at me, but just mad at life and the reality of becoming an adult because they were 17. So every day I came with the same positive, caring, and understanding attitude. And then the youth eventually left, and that youth was going to turn 18 in 2 weeks. So the youth came back about 3 months later, and I seen them walking up to the door, and I kind of got scared because the way they left and the things that they were saying, I didn't know if it was going to be a positive visit. Right. Or I'm an 18 visit, but I answered the door and the youth said that they were sorry for how they treated me and other staff and how we were always caring. And when everybody else gave up on them, including their parents, you know, we stood firm and spoke life into them. And they said they got a job and bought the car that they pulled up in outside and was moving into a place with a friend. And they said they couldn't have done it without our My Place staff. So that day I just truly understood that the seeds that we plant, you know, we might not always see, but sometimes, you know, we'll get to see that the work that we're doing is really affecting people and changing their lives.
You're making an impact. That's just wonderful. Tell me, what do you need from your community? What do you want your community to know?
I want our community to first know that, you know, we're here. We're the only runaway, and we're only real shelters in San Bernardino, and we're about to have 4 of them open once ours reopen and another one opens. But we're about to have 4, but we just want to let them know that, you know, if you know any kids that need a place to lay their head or may be having some problems, or even if a family's having some problems and just need time to figure it out, that, you know, we do great work with these youth, and we try to uplift them and have them leave our shelter with goals and a positive mindset, that they know that they can accomplish what they want to accomplish and how they can get there.
Exactly. We have to, I like what you said about, you know, breathing life into people and especially these young kids, because a lot of the times, you know, they're facing situations that they're just not mentally prepared for, and we shouldn't expect them to be. They're children. You know, what is your age population again?
So we serve the ages of 12 to 17, and then we have we currently have 2 shelters open, one in San Bernardino and one in Mentone. And then we're going to have 2 we're hoping to open up as soon as possible. We're just pending some licensing checks to get open up in Phelan. So we'll have 2 shelters open in the high desert.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I know sometimes I'm on my Facebook or my Instagram, and I see people say they have pictures, can't find, or, missing, or, young person or lost, young person. Where should they start to call the shelter to find out, hey, maybe they ended up with, how can that help? Would that help people? Sometimes do the kids, the lost kids end up with you in your shelter, and, do they not know people are looking for them, or they're just afraid,
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. And their first bet is they should definitely, call the police if they haven't already
Right.
made a police report. But if any youth comes to our shelter, we provide them with up to 72 hours of safe haven to kind of get settled. But we're always going to contact the proper,
family. Oh,
the police department and
right.
children and family services to make sure that this youth is not a missing youth and not in any danger.
Right, right. That's amazing. I remember when I was in youth services, we had a young man that came through, and he would come through every day. He was coming through, and then he was going to Operation New Hope next door, and he was doing his hours. Great kid, bright kid, smart kid. And he was in a foster situation, and he ended up running away, and he was on the streets, and he had friends helping keep him on the street, and they weren't letting us know, but he was coming to us every day. But we eventually found out, because he eventually started asking us for things, like clothes and shoes and socks and toiletries, and we're like, well, what's going on at home, and so we finally found out. And we called, I think we made 1 or 2 calls over to the Mentone shelter, and they came and picked him up and tried to get him on his way and set him straight. And I know I ran into him not too long ago, and he said that was the best help he had gotten, because he was just out there trying to figure it out at like 15, trying to figure out how to live at 15. And I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
these youth, especially at that age, in these situations, they're stuck in survival mode. So a lot of what people would expect them to do doesn't even cross their mind, because they're just too busy trying to figure out where they're going to lay their head tonight, how they're going to get a meal for tonight. So for us to be their voice and advocate for them and identify all those needs and be able to help them, it's
Right.
truly an awesome thing.
It must just change their whole trajectory when you say, okay, you got 72 hours to be here and be safe, and we're going to take care of you, before we get into it and start doing the real, the hard work, because sometimes that's what we need. We just need the space to breathe and, not be in survival mode. Know we're safe, know we can eat, know we can put our head down, even for adults. I work with adult, homeless, through the coordinated entry system, and I know what it means to these folks when they can get in a motel room just to get a good night's sleep for a few nights. You can think clear, you make better decisions. So Nike, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I know it's a tough subject, but I am so encouraged that we have young people like yourself working in this realm of work, working with our youth, helping build them up, give them an opportunity, to get past this temporary situation, and onto permanent, wholesome, good, solutions. So I asked my guest for a quote, because I'm a quote person. So tell me a quote that best describes how you feel about this work.
Yeah, so a quote that really touches me, and I actually keep it hung up and look at it, is, if you really want to receive joy and happiness, then serve others with all your heart. Lift their burden, and your own burden will be lighter. And that's by Ezra Taft Benson. And that's just something that sticks with me, because it's not, a lot of times we're so focused on what's going on in our own life that we don't even know that our neighbor's really struggling and what they're going through. So if we could just, have an open heart and an open hand, I think the world will be a better place.
It will. It would be. It will be, and it is a better place because of you. So thank you, Nike, for sharing your program and the important work that you do every day. Your community appreciates your advocacy for our young people. Thank you for calling in and talking to me.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to bring awareness to our
Oh,
program.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All righty. Great. Thank you, Nike Hansen, for calling in and talking to us about the Runaway Youth Homeless Shelters. We're going to take a break right now, and I'll be right back. We're going to be talking to Russell Degnan from Operation New Hope Youth Center in downtown San Bernardino.
KCAA.
Hey there, it's Mark Westwood. And if you like the music you're hearing, it's because you're like me and you love David Sanborn. It may be toasty tonight, but the concert's going to be much hotter. And it's all free at the Summer Concerts on the Green series presented by the Calamasa Cultural and Arts Foundation, featuring the 14-piece Stevie E and the All-Star Band in a very cool tribute to the one and only late world-renowned jazz sax master David Sanborn. Joining Stevie E will be members of the David Sanborn Band, Chaka Khan, and Bobby Caldwell. You'll also be refreshed by the cool music of Stevie Wonder from Nat King Cole and crooners of the 50s and 60s and beyond. The concert's tonight at 7:30, so grab a lawn chair, your favorite beverage, or enjoy some liquid heaven from the bar, or get some delicious barbecue. Stay hydrated and enjoy this free show tonight at the Calamasa Event Center. It's at 1300 3rd Street in Calamasa. That's 1300 3rd Street in Calamasa. You may remember this as the Calamasa Country Club. Join us for some great music, because there's nowhere else to be but Calamasa.
Welcome back, Inland Empire. This is Shazad with Working in the Margins. And tonight our topic is runaway homeless youth and disadvantaged youth in San Bernardino, and the services that we have here to support them. My next guest is Russell Degnan from he's the executive director of Operation New Hope Youth Centers in downtown San Bernardino. Russell, are you there?
Good evening. Good evening. Yes,
Good evening. Thank you so much for taking time and being able to call in, Russell. I know you got lots going on, and I know you have football, and so thank you so much. I appreciate you very much. Russell, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no, and I want to clear up first. It's not watching the NFL football. It's helping coaching.
Yes,
the
coaching.
Pop Warner
Yes,
team.
let's be clear. Exactly.
Hey,
yes.
No, so a little bit about Operation New Hope. First, I'm honored and blessed to be in the position I am because my father and mother founded Operation New Hope. So we've been around since 1980. So been working with this population for 44 years, and I do like to share the history because without the history and the foundation, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today. So Operation New Hope is actually an evidence-based. 1980, my father, I'll even rewind it a little bit further. 1978, thank God my father chose sobriety. My mom was at her kind of just frustrated with his alcoholism and drug addiction, and said, hey, you know what, I'm taking these 3 boys and you're not going to be part of their life. And he didn't let that happen. He chose sobriety and got himself sober to speed it up to where Operation New Hope started. Part of his recovery through NA and AA was finding, somewhere to give back, and he found a place called the El Paso de Robles Boys School. That was part of the California Youth Authority. Us older people remember CYA. Mm-hmm. Younger people have no clue what CYA is.
I know. It's out in Chino. Mm-hmm, I know.
It was in Chino. Yeah,
yes.
So then it became DJJ. But not to get too dwelled onto that, because that gets us into criminal justice reform and stuff like that. But the YA was actually a really good model back in the 1980s. Mm-hmm. It did shift about 1986 and went to the kind of throw the key away model. But in 1980, my father was honored to have the opportunity to take over a living unit. And it was the substance abuse living unit. He told the warden that I'm not going to take over a substance abuse unit. I'm actually going to convert it into a holistic lifestyle unit, understanding like you do that drugs and alcohol are a piece of the people we work with,
Wow.
and ultimately isn't the main problem. There's undercover, as we would call it,
Underlying causes.
underlining, right? Of
Yeah.
peeling that onion of these traumas that they've experienced
Right.
from infancy, some of them, right, being taken
Right.
away from them and growing up in the foster family, or just growing up in a family that,
Right.
it's gang invested and just
Mhm.
born into that environment.
Right. Gang
So-
affiliated. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just and maybe in the environment. So in 1980, my father and another counselor, Doc Ellis, working, both were recovering addicts, kind of working on themselves, but working with 50 young men, created this curriculum that Operation New Hope is known for,
Okay.
and it's an evidence-based cognitive life skills. And so that's really the foundation of us. The story goes on longer, because obviously now we're in 2024.
Right. Right.
But I began working for Operation New Hope in 1997.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I walked. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, so
Lived
I
experience. Lived
Yeah, yeah.
experience.
it is. So I've got 11 years of sobriety myself,
Oh,
but I've been
yes.
doing this quite some time, and but the foundation of Operation New Hope is really group counseling and that kind of mentoring, meeting them where they're at,
Okay.
so they can create a new belief system in themselves, understand the distorted belief system that they walked into our doors with, and then helping them build through cognitive life skills, awareness, so they can make better decisions. So
Wow.
that's a little bit of a history.
That's awesome. It's just it just melts my heart when I hear that people with lived experience go into trying to help other people with these same challenges. It's just it's amazing how many people find the strength to sometimes walk through their trauma again with other people, and doing it with youth it's got to be, it's frustrating, it's challenging, and to have the strength to be able to do that, I commend you. I respect you and your family and your dad. I know a little bit about your history, and
Amen.
Yeah, I read a little bit, and I'm like, man, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. Tell me, Russell, what are some of the challenges facing disadvantaged youth in our communities?
Well, I think we all know them. I would say that it's rewarding at the same time as much as it's challenging. But obviously, I think the challenge is really, it's a lot of generational, right? And I think even with the homelessness,
Poverty,
poverty, right?
Right.
And so it really, like, one of the main concepts of our book is, helping them understand that they do have a distorted belief system in themselves, in their community, in their school system, right? Because people fail them in the school system, right? They told them you're going to be this, you're, family members, you're going to be just like your dad, or abandonment, and so this distorted belief system is real, right? And helping them understand that. And so I think that ultimately is a lot of times is the challenge to help them. I think as a case manager, and what I try to help our staff, it's just like us trying to lose. I've lost 40 pounds at one time, right? It did not happen in coming to a 7-day program. It didn't happen in 30 days, right? And so sometimes the challenges for us change makers, case managers, youth developers that we are, is really accepting them where they're at, right? And really accepting it, right? Because some are going to get it a little quicker, and some, it's going to take a year. I've got examples. I remember it felt like every day I was doing 2 times 2 again, and you can get frustrated. So I think the challenge for the youth is understanding that distorted belief system, and then even who wants to admit that they grew up with not proper parenting or abandonment. We're built to be strong, right? Men and women, right? It used to be,
resilient.
man, don't cry.
Right.
man, the women now are tougher than our men often.
Because
So
we gotta be,
I-
huh? Right.
right.
We gotta be.
So I
Exactly.
think that is the biggest challenge. Is just,
Yeah.
and then back to the youth developers is their challenge is to not get frustrated
Right.
and lose not hope on them, but just give up on them because
Right.
they didn't get it in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. It's really one step at a time, and sometimes they fall back 4 or 5
Right.
steps,
Right.
and still being there for them without being discouraged. So
Exactly.
I think that
Tell
would
me,
be a
tell
big
me,
challenge.
Russell, more about your mentors and your educators that you have and that you work with. How do you choose them? How did they come to you?
Well, we actually did a big hiring process. I'm a big collaborator, and that's
Good.
why we're housed together at our Youth Opportunity Center.
Yeah.
Is that I remember telling my dad, for years, my dad was one of the best group counselors, youth developers I know, but like a lot of nonprofits, they also want to do it all.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest challenges with all of that are just our industry.
Right.
The more we can come together and leverage and work on each other's strengths.
Right.
But and so I do look for people that have specific strengths now that I see that our team needs.
Okay.
We've been blessed to grow a pretty solid team now, so now it's really, just trying to find who will complement the team and not come in and duplicate or be like one up, right? And so,
Right.
but I do look for lived experience, and I think that
That's good.
definitely my father was big on that. But as much as I love the lived experience, I think the part that we're really challenged, and I think Daryl does a great job of it too with the lived experience,
Yes.
is then investing into them so they can be properly trained. They
Right.
have the lived experience, which we all want, but then we can't get frustrated with, and they don't really have all the case management skills,
Right. All
to
those skills.
data
right.
tracking and
Right.
and the case noting properly, so we report
And
it
my
out. and stuff like
HMIS
that.
entries and
Yeah, right.
I know.
But anyways, I can get long-winded, but yes. So I look for people that can fill in and support those lived experience people as well.
Awesome. I know I've met some of your staff, and I've worked with some of your staff. I was next door. I worked in the building next door to you. For
I
a little
remember,
while.
yes.
Yes,
I remember.
and I love that center. I love that area. I think I have romanticized it probably because it's just where I felt like I learned the most when I started with family assistance, and even when I go now, I was there today hanging out with the kids.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes they'll call me, and say, hey, you haven't visited, and I go, and I realize how important that is to them. I
Yep.
realized that because
Yep.
I was there for a short time and then I left. And
Yep.
they had, I got as attached to them as they were to me. And I was, pouring into them, like a lot of the things that we should be pouring into them, letting them know that they're cared about, letting them know that they can trust people, letting them know that,
Absolutely.
that everybody's not out to get them. And so I formed really good. And the kids, I had a student, one of the take clients here last week, she came on and she did a piece about her experience. And when I went there today, they were like, you had her on, and
Amen.
can I come on, and when are you going to have
Amen.
me on? And I'm like, you know what? All of you guys can come on. We're going to just do a show about TAY students.
That's right.
We're going to tell the community what you need. So
they'll share the story better than we will.
exactly. And they should be telling the story because
Yep.
they are the ones living through this and experiencing this. So they should be the narrator of the solution process of it. And I think that that's what you do best. I think that's what family assistance, we listen to them. We listen to them. So tell me something. How do you involve the other community partners in your programs? Who are you partnered up with, and what do they bring to you? What's just a couple. Tell me about a couple of them. That you're
Yeah,
working with.
and to be honest, I always give credit because my office and my father's office was our cars. We traveled around to group homes, continuation schools, conservation corps, youth builds. We didn't have a center.
Right.
And 2008, 2008, I kind of was following the Watts. I was part of the Watts Gang Task Force. That's where I did a lot of my work. And it was called Yo Watts, Youth Opportunity Center of Watts. That executive director was an amazing man and became a mentor and kind of pointed me on, hey, you know what? San Bernardino City needs this. Why are you driving 1,300 miles a week?
Right.
I love it. He's like, but hey, so to kind of go back, without collaborating and partnering, this center we have, and we have one in Rancho Cucamonga and in the city of San Bernardino,
Right.
would not have happened without collaboration. And I think that's where my dad's extremely proud now. I don't think he kind of, there's the trust issues too, right?
Exactly.
Where, partnering people, and
Yes.
commitment. And you said something about consistency. These kids need consistency, right? So, so it's awesome that you're coming back because they deal with abandonment, right? So,
Yes.
But collaborators, obviously family assistance is one that I speak of all the time just
Thank
because,
you.
one, homelessness is the topic, and I think people think that it's just become the topic. It's been the topic before COVID for us. It's always been the topic,
Exactly.
right? So of course, family assistance, and it's this holistic wheel of like, again, we can't do it all. So
Right.
I don't want to be the housing provider. That's
Right.
I always say, that's some real work.
It is. Yes.
And
it
so
is.
you guys, we partner up with a domestic violence group that does amazing stuff
Yes.
and provides support group. Divine Connection of Hope is their name.
Okay.
We partner up with several charter schools.
Okay.
We did that so well, people started thinking we were the school.
Oh.
No.
Yes.
But again, just like homelessness, without education, they're going to stay in that generational
Exactly.
trend, right?
Illiteracy. right.
Yeah, that was my first partner, was
Yeah.
finding a charter school. And again, helping me now pay the rent, the lights, because they're getting money from the state to get these kids high school diplomas.
Right.
So my collaboration was, one, the students need it, but hey, I get additional staff, right? They're not my staff, but we're a team. We're going to support each other. So we partner up with Learn for Life and Powell Charter School.
Yes.
And then a lot of county partners, Public Health Family Friday Night Live does a lot of health advocacy, leadership development. We partner up with University of Redlands to do writing therapy with their race and ethnic studies. There's a lot, and some of them we'd be upset that I didn't, but I know this is a short interview.
That's okay.
But
Send them an
without our
email. Tell them
partners,
thank you after
they
this.
can go to the website,
Yes.
we try to shout them out.
Yes.
But yeah, we have a collective
Yes.
partnership, and I think Daryl does a great job of that as well. It's not just partnering and putting it on paper,
I
but
love
we
a
also go after
collaboration.
grants together.
Right. They say if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with others.
Amen.
Yeah. So that's what I love, a collaboration.
Amen.
That's it's just, it helps leverage dollars. It helps leverage grants. It just,
It does.
it
Can
creates.
I highlight one for Daryl and I?
Yes,
So
please.
the Cal Hire Initiative that I believe you're probably aware of, right? You guys are the lead applicant.
Yes,
It's
the Hire program.
The Hire program. I always
Yeah.
forget the acronym, but it's basically prison to employment on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And that when that came out, I remember Daryl calling me, and we were already eyeballing it, but Daryl's level of grant writing and capacity building is amazing.
Intense.
So huge shout out to Daryl on that.
Intense.
And so it was like, hey, Russ, we can be the lead. He was actually looking for another larger lead agency, but they just didn't want to accept it.
Right.
But the larger annual income that the lead agency had, the more partners you had to write into it. So we, with family assistance being the lead, they're called hubs. So we have 7 agencies. So going back to collaboration, we've worked with 211, but now we're actually really working with them because 211's a part of it.
Right.
Hope Culture, Mary's Mercy Center,
Right.
Lighthouse,
Victor Valley Family Resource Center.
Yes, amen. Thank you. I was trying to remember Sharon Green's. But
yes.
yeah. So that's a huge example of why collaboration is so important.
It is so important. I am starting to do some work with the higher programming. Carly, she's the program manager.
Yes,
and
she's doing an
I'm
excellent
just
job.
so excited about the opportunities for these, it's a good grant and it's got some good funding behind it and it's for a little while, but what we can do with it to
But
help
if we
is,
model it, it's going to be for a while.
oh yes,
And the outcomes are great, right? Employment
Yes.
for people coming home from incarceration.
Exactly,
I
because
mean-
they have to get jobs. They have
They
to.
have to, right?
They have
So,
to get
no,
jobs.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. Lastly, Russell, tell me, what message would you like to share with potential donors and supporters of ONH Youth Opportunity Centers?
The message is, one, I get shared this often by county officials and some of our partners. We're kind of a hidden gem is what they'll say. Why don't more people know about us?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to go back to my father's roots. He didn't like meetings, and he would always say in meetings, there's real work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
There's people to go be in the trenches with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's who our focus is, and it's through our success stories
Awesome.
that if you really want to know about Operation, just kind of you said, I agree, get the kids on here, right?
Yes.
They'll share their story the best. They'll share
Mhm.
who's actually following through, who's
Mhm.
consistent, right?
Right.
Who's actually putting the money, investing back into them.
Exactly.
So that's just my message is, I don't need to have slogans and all
Right.
that, but come visit us, right? Come see our
Yeah,
center.
come
see
see
that
it.
it's
Uh-huh.
a resource center, right?
We're
It's not just
7th
New
off
Hope.
of 7th and Arrowhead in
Amen.
downtown
32
San Bernardino. Come by.
I always say a rock throw away from the police station, but we don't tell the
Exactly.
kids to do that.
Exactly. Russell, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. And more than that, your community appreciates it. This show is about homelessness and marginalized communities, and you are tackling head on, our youth and trying to create new patterns of living and, success and progress for them. And it's not an easy task, but like you said, it's rewarding. So thank you again. And you thank your father. You tell him thank you. Every time
I
you
will.
see him, you say thank you, Dad, because
I will. I'll be calling
'cause
him
you give-
on my way home
he's
today.
he's given you such a foundation. Such a
Amen.
foundation, and you've been wonderful at carrying his mantle. So I appreciate you. Your community appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
And you
Thank
have
you
a
for the
great night.
time.
Go back to your football. Go
Thank
team.
you. Yes. Thank
Okay,
you. Take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you, Russell. Take care. All right, we're going to go to break, and when I come back, I'll have closing announcements and my final quote.
KCAA Loma Linda.
For several years, KCAA has been marketing the Youngevity brand of nutritional and personal care products. Our experience with Youngevity has been 100% positive, so we are pleased to recommend them to you. Regarding nutritional supplements, we recommend Pollen Burst in the berry flavor and Tangy Tangerine 2.0 in the tablet form. For regularity issues, we recommend 3-Day Cleanse, and for personal care, we recommend Morning Hydration Cream. You can shop online for Youngevity at www.kcaateam.com, or you can order by phone by calling 800-982-3197 and tell customer support that you are part of the KCAA team. Youngevity is an American company based in San Diego. Call Youngevity at 800-982-3197 and ask about monthly auto ship that allows you to buy Youngevity products at wholesale prices. That number again, 800-982-3197. KCAA.
Welcome back, Inland Empire. This is Shazad with Working in the Margins. And I want to share some resources for you. So Saturday is our Youth Advocacy Summit, ages 14 to 24. It's at San Bernardino Valley College. It's from 9 to 3. And it's a free event, breakfast and lunch. There's opportunity drawings. And it's a youth advocacy summit And there's going to be great speakers. Assemblymember Eloise Reyes is going to be there. Assemblymember James Ramos is being honored for his work in our community. And again, that's Saturday, September 7th. We Family Assistance host a 40-hour domestic violence advocacy training, and it starts on September 10th to the 26th. It's 40 hours, but it's state mandated and it's free. And the hours are the days are Tuesday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. So if you need more information, give us a call. Give me a call, 909-908-8053. We also have a walk coming up in the high desert let me find this date on here. September 28th. It's a Walk a Mile in Their Shoes Domestic Violence Awareness Walk. This is one of the largest walks in the Inland Empire in San Bernardino County. It's at the SBC Fair in the high desert, and it's called a Walk a Mile in Their Shoes, and it's a car show also. And it's to honor the lives of, a tribute to the lives lost to domestic violence. Again, so that's September 28th. So next week's show, I have the honor of having Terrence Stone from Young. He's the executive director from Young Visionaries. And we're going to talk about the high desert youth population, the college population, the homeless college population in the high desert, and what his plans are for working with VVC and that endeavor in the high desert. Again, I want to thank you everybody for tuning in. And my last quote for the night is from the rapper Takeoff. Rest in peace. We want our legacy to stand upon the youth. We want to give knowledge to the younger generation and be a part of changing the game. Again, that's Takeoff. Rest in peace. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Shazette, and I'll talk to you next week.